Hello, my name is Xander from Terrytown and welcome to your Salem 22 RBS. Just going to be starting right up front here. I'm going to be talking about your power tongue jack. Starting right here, it's going to be a light just in case you do need to hook up at night. Just underneath it is going to be your up and down for your power tongue jack there. Right behind that is going to be a manual override, so if you just peel this up, right behind it is going to be a place where you can stick a tool inside there and manually override this up or down just in case your power tongue jack does eventually electrically go out. Right behind here is going to be your, let me get this off, propane tanks. So of course, whichever one you open, this is going to go straight down. So if you want to preserve one, just go ahead, open this one. It's going to start using this tank, so forth. Close that, open this one, it'll use that tank. Just underneath here is going to be your battery disconnect. That switch, all it does is connect and disconnect the battery from the inside of the camper. So it's pretty self-explanatory. When it's out or off, there's no power from the battery to the inside of the camper. When it's on, the battery is then in use. Front storage compartment there. Coming to the back, this is going to be your sewer system. So your sewer system here, we're going to have your gray tank and your black tank. Your gray tank is going to be any shower or sink. Same goes for that back there. And then right down here is going to be your black tank, which is going to be your toilet, so your sewer system. So going along with that, what you're going to want to do is I recommend doing the black tank first, just because that's the dirtiest water out of the two. So there's going to be solids involved and whatnot. So I recommend opening this one, let that go first. While having that open, go ahead and put a pressurized hose into the back of this right here. This is going to be your black tank flush. This black tank flush, that activates a small sprinkler inside the system to help, once again, flush anything that may have gotten stuck on the way out for the solids wise. Otherwise, when you're done, go ahead, take your hose off, plug your black tank back up, and then I recommend, once again, doing the gray tanks last, just to kind of give it one last little flush before you go ahead and put your hands back on there. Since we're right here, for your stabilizer jacks, what I do recommend doing is for your strong arm here, is you're going to need to loosen that up, so when it goes up or down, it can extend and whatnot. And then when it's all the way down, you can go ahead and then lock it into place, and that gives you that extra little strength, so you don't have to worry about stabilization issues. Right here, your camp power or shore power. And coming to the back of your camper, you're gonna have your cable and satellite inputs right here. City water connection, so when you get to a campground, this is what you're gonna wanna plug into. And then right here, black tank flush, like I mentioned before. Here's your spare tire. Luckily, this isn't going to be some sort of donut, as some people call it. It's going to be the exact same tire and wheel as that. Moving on to this is your fresh tank. Your fresh tank is just one big tank inside of your camper, which eventually, let's say you're going to a national park, you can go ahead and fill this up before you go inside, and then you can go ahead, use your water pump. And that water pump, just a switch on the inside, which I'll get to in just a minute. But you just flick that on, it'll start to draw water from this fresh tank and give you running water while you're out in the middle of nowhere. If you do have extra water left over, right behind here, it's kind of hard to see, that little white piece, you just go ahead, pull, and then you will drain out your water that's left over from your fresh tank. Just in case you do decide to put a TV outside, put your TV back at location here, an input, and then 110 outlet down here. This is going to be your furnace exhaust, so when your furnace is on, all the excess heat is going to be kicked out of here. So if you've little kids, pets, anything like that, just make sure they stay away from this piece here. Coming to your water heater. This is your anode rod. This anode rod is going to protect your tank. All the hard water is going to eat at this instead of your tank. So you want to make sure this is in. You just go ahead and stick it in there. It's a 1 1/16 socket, so make sure that's in and tight. Once that's in and tight, make sure that you go to the inside of your camper and turn on the hot side of the faucet. That's going to sputter for a little bit, but that's just all the air getting pushed out of your tank. So once you have a steady flow of water and this is all nice and tight, you can go ahead, turn this on, use it, do what you need to do. And when it comes time to empty it, just go ahead, pull this little pressure release valve here. It's gonna sit there and hiss. Once it's done hissing, go ahead, take your socket, pull this back out, and then it will then drain right out of that hole. And then lastly, inside here, so it's going to be a 25-foot drinking hose, 110 adapters. If you do need to plug this into your house at any time to cool your fridges or something like that, you can go ahead and plug it into your house. And then you also have your sewer hose, which of course, pretty self-explanatory. Sewer hose. I do recommend getting a upgraded one, but once again, personal recommendation. Otherwise, that's going to be it for the outside. Now we're gonna head in. Moving to the inside here, we're going to start with your dimmer switch. All you gotta do is tap to turn on and off. Then also while they are on, you can press that button right in the middle there to turn on and off. Then if you tap and hold, they're gonna dim. Same goes for brightening back up. Moving into the bathroom, your toilet, it's just gonna be a foot flush. You just tap down there and it's going to flush. You're going to need toilet solution along with RV grade toilet paper. So those are the two main things you're going to need to remember pretty much about your bathroom and your toilet in general. It just kind of helps it break down easier. The toilet paper, like I said, breaks down easier, and it just kind of helps make sure that everything flushes out how it's supposed to be. There's no clogs, nothing like that. And then with the toilet solution, that helps break down solids and smells, just to kind of, once again, help you eliminate anything that may remain. Coming up to the top here is going to be your fan. Just go ahead and open it up. And then flick the switch on here to make sure that the fan turns on. Otherwise, moving forward, right here, it's going to be your main little power panel. So whatever you press and hold here, it's going to read up top and tell you how full it is. So you got your battery, fresh tank, black tank, gray tank, and then your galley tank. Just to the left of that, your water pump switch. So like I mentioned before, if you fill up that fresh tank, you just go ahead and flick that water pump switch. And that's going to draw water from your fresh tank. Just to the right of that is going to be your water heater. So for that, you just flick the switch on, and then it's going to start to heat your water up. But once again, make sure that the anode rod is in and you have a steady flow of water coming out of the hot side. Others right here, you have your lights. So for this is going to be your awning light, which I'll show you. And then to the right of that is going to be these little under lights here. And then of course you have your slide out in and out, and then your awning in and out. I'm just gonna run this in just a tad, just so you know what it sounds like when it fully extends, because it sounds a little scary, but just know it's completely normal. It's gonna sound like gears grinding, but that's just your motor reaching the furthest point extendable. Just to the right of that is your awning, which I'm going to run out for you. Just the main thing with your awning is when you see the end of the awning or the little excess flap kind of come down, and then you see the bar sitting on behind it, go ahead and let go. Give it a second here. And there we go. So that's going to be the black piece it's sitting on. And then the end of your awning is going to be right behind it. And also it's a little bit stuck, but the back of your awning would just eventually kind of flap down. Otherwise, the main thing is when you see that black bar, go ahead and stop, because if you do keep going, it'll actually rail in the opposite way and end up breaking. Oh, right there. There's a little excess flap. Now that that's on, moving down to your sound bar, you just tap to turn on. And starting from left to right here, you have your HDMI and USB ports here. Switch channels, of course. And then pause play, select, which you can select between the balance or equalizer. And then just to the right of that, on off, mode, you can switch between Bluetooth and whatever you desire. Volume, mute, and then you have zone 1 inside speakers and zone 2 outside speakers, which you can both turn off, and then you just tap to turn off. Just below that is going to be your little space heater here. Far right to turn on. Far left is going to be a time. So if you see right there, goes up to 9 hours. You want to see my reflection? No, I can't read that, but it says 9 hours there. Just to the right of that is going to be your fan speed. So you have low and high. And then color. Once again, on off. For the oven and stove area, you'll want to lift that up. Turn on your light, and then to light these press, turn to high, of course, to get gas going, and then you spark to the right, and then they will ignite. Obviously, I don't have gas going right now because I don't want to waste it for you, but when you get here, I'm more than happy to show you. Otherwise, make sure do not turn left because they will snap off. Only turn to the right. Same goes for all three. For your oven, you press, turn to the pilot symbol, which is a little flame symbol there. And watch this little piece right back there. That's gonna be your igniter. So once you have it there, pressed in, giving it gas, and you spark it till it ignites. Once you see the small flame, go ahead and then adjust your temperature. Pause your light and fan. Microwave. Pretty self-explanatory with that. Whereas right here, you have your keys. The purple ones are going to be for your main doors, and then the silver are going to be for your baggage doors. Moving on, you have your thermostat. So just keep tapping to choose whatever one. You have your fan settings, cool, which is your AC settings, and then heat, which is your furnace settings. And of course, adjust your temperature with the up and down arrows there. Just beneath that, you're going to have your carbon monoxide detector. That little green light is always going to stay on as a safety feature. So, of course, like I said, it's always going to be on and running. So that will eventually drain your battery if you're not hooked up to anything. So make sure your battery disconnect is off. And then, even as just an extra safety measure, go ahead and just take the negative end off of your battery to then kill this little green light once and for all. Right in here is going to be your breakers and fuses. Everything's going to be labeled. And then just to the right of that are your fuses. I do recommend bringing extras just in case. That's just a personal recommendation, but I do highly recommend it. You can pick those up at any auto parts stores, like an AutoZone, for example. Of course, lift up. Underbelly storage. And then you have your TV that's already hooked up. Otherwise, one last thing for your AC is that, let's say it's a hot day, you just get to your campground and your trailer is warm. Go ahead, open these up, and it's going to dump the AC straight out the bottom to give it to fill the main room with AC. But then once it starts to cool down, go ahead and close these up, because once they're closed, they're going to then flow throughout the ceiling because it's all ducted, and then it's going to come out here. Oh, almost forgot about the fridge. Right behind it here. The higher the number, the colder it gets, so you just go ahead and set it with the set button on the right. Then same goes for the back here. Little twist dial, farthest right is the colder it goes. And make sure you lock it before travel. Otherwise, that has been your orientation. If you do have any questions, feel free to write them down and bring them in. Otherwise, congratulations and I hope you enjoy.